everybody. So, this is my video log on being in a fraternity and being trans. Now, part of the reason why I decided to go to a major university after my first year at a small college was specifically for fraternity life. Um, Side note, it doesn't matter if you've ever had fraternity experience or not. It's not mandatory, it's just if it's something you want to do, you go for it. If not, don't be pushed into it because it's not right for everybody and it doesn't make you more or less of a man. But for me, I grew up watching Animal House and all these fraternity movies, and that's what I've always wanted for myself. So I figured going to a major university after I transitioned, I could get away with it. So first off, I started going to the open IFC rushes or the interfraternity council stuff. We would go and visit houses every day, over I think a 3 or 5 day stretch, and then you go back to the houses that you want the bids. And you know, I saw a couple fraternities that I really, really liked, and it was great and all. But in the long run, I didn't get bids. Before I went through with that, I talked with the director of student affairs and told her my situation, and she was like, you can do whatever you want. It's your life. Good luck with it. But I don't know whether you should be going into fraternities. They have some have reputations that you may not want to get into. And I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I'll figure it out for myself. So I went through the rush and I didn't get any bids, and it was a good thing because they weren't right for me. Uh, I didn't feel comfortable. So my roommate at the time, he was like, "Hey, come out to rush my fraternity," and I was like, "All right, I'll give it a check." And it was a small group of men, devoted to their studies and to the ideals of the fraternity. We bonded. We really did. I met him in a dorm room, the men's dorm room that I was staying in, and we clicked. We really did. And so I kept going to their rush events, and I ate hot dogs with them. I played ultimate frisbee. We had a good time, and I remember that I went out and I got a phone call saying that I got a bid and where to meet, and what to do, and what to wear. It was at that time I was a little skeptical. I still hadn't had top surgery yet, and nobody knew, and I didn't know what kind of stuff, hazing stuff, would, eventually come, whether it did or not. So I took the bid, and I went through the initiate process, and I bonded with everybody, and there wasn't any hazing. Contrary to popular belief, my fraternity was really morally upheld, and their thoughts were, why are we going to abuse somebody that's going to be our brother? We got to treat them as a member and not degrade them, and that was great. I had a great time, and it came down to one of my what do I call them? One of our fraternity events, and I decided to tell everybody, and I did it, and I got a really good reception from them. Uh, it felt right. I felt really close to them. I trusted them, and I think they trusted me. And although I was given a choice whether they were to, report it to nationals and see what nationals would say, or whether they just kind of sweep it under the rug and hope that nobody catches wind. And I didn't want to put my brothers in an awkward position. I understood there was some concern about, you know, liability because of Title IX excluded women from being in the group, and I still was legally a female at the time. So I told them to do what they thought was necessary, and I remember finally hearing back from nationals, and they said, once you have the surgery, we'll initiate you. You've met all the requirements to be a brother. We just have to halt your process and we'll initiate you as soon as we get a letter from the surgeon. And my brother came over, and he we sat down under this tree next to our education building, and he looked horrible, and I knew what it was going to be about, and I felt horrible. I cried. I got really close to these guys, and they were my life. And if any of y'all ever go on my Facebook, all you're going to see is fraternity pictures. And he was crying. He didn't want it to end like this, but he said, we'll get you there. And I had already planned on having surgery over the summer, so they arranged for me to be initiated as soon as we got back to school. They gave me a choice whether I wanted to go to one of their the other chapters in the area and get initiated with their boys, or to be initiated solely with, my chapter group. And I wanted the chapter group. It was my home and something that really meant everything to me. And I talked with this brother over the summer all the time. We got really close, and I'll never forget the day that I was initiated. It was the most amazing experience of my entire life. And something that just made my college experience that much better. And the fact that these guys knew everything about me and they didn't care one bit. Nobody ever made any off-color jokes. Nobody ever slipped up with pronouns. It was just these guys for 4 years were my family, and they're still my family even though I've left the shelter in university. So if you want to be in a fraternity, do it, but you need to make sure that you know what you're getting into, because you may have to get naked sometimes. Now, disclaimer, I did not. I know a few of the fraternities that I did rush. I found out later that they did. So just think about, can you take hazing if that's the type of fraternity you join? What are the safety risks involved? Have you had chest surgery? You may have to talk to your national headquarters, and you may have to be careful because the guys that you're in with, they may not be as accepting as you think. So really check into it, and don't take this process lightly. I knew where I fit in almost instantaneously, but that time that I told them, it could have been disastrous. So you really have to know your stuff. Know these guys, or if you're going for co-ed, that's even better. But know your guys or your girls individually, and make sure that they're not going to hurt you. And if you are going to tell them, be at a place that doesn't put you at risk. Somebody needs to know where you're at, that sort of thing. But it's the most enriching process that I've ever experienced. And even though I had to wait almost an entire year before I could be initiated as a full brother, I was still a part of this organization. And these guys took care of me when I was in the hospital. They carried me across campus when I was on crutches. When my mom was having problems, they were to my aid. They moved me back and forth from home. If I called any of them up anytime, they would drop anything that they were doing to help me. And that's what Brotherhood is. It's really bonding with somebody, with a group of people that have your back no matter what, and will love you unconditionally. It's not about doing silly pranks or this, that, and the other thing, but it's having a family. And these guys, they're my family until the day that I die. I have them on my chest here, and this organization is for life. So that's my experience. I had no problems, just a little paperwork shuffling I had to do, but I went up to national headquarters a while back, and they were very inviting, and they all knew about me. Just know your organization, know what you want, and if you want to do it, you do it, but be smart about it.